I asked you some basic questions. I think the first one was, what issues are you dealing with? That kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That you want to discuss with others. So do you have any issue that you've thought of that you could bring up?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about a few things, and I found out that all of them are actually one issue if we speak about it generally, and that's how to manage our time, or my time actually, and how to manage it successfully and effectively, because that's something that I think that everyone knows, everyone who has family and a job and those things, then you just don't have so much time for what you would like to do or what you used to do.
Right.
And at the same moment, you wouldn't like to give up those things, because
the things that you're doing. Yeah. So you're talking about time as your main issue in why you want, or after having looked at the issues, you see that time is the focus of all of them.
Exactly, because as you may remember, some time ago we spoke about my languages learning and maybe
Right.
music
German?
making.
Was it
Yeah.
German? Yeah.
It is still German. I've already passed the certificate and I started to teach actually. So
Congratulations.
but yeah, languages, music, and other things, all together depends on my time, which is really not very. I don't have so much time for the things I would like to.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always looking for ways to find every minute, every second to things I would like to, and I think I'm successful in that.
Okay, so tell me a bit more about, like you're saying, every minute, every second, you're finding this.
Yes.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean by successful? Let's do the easy ones.
Yeah, exactly. So I could compare it with some of my students, because they always say, "Oh, I go to work in the morning, I come in the evening home. When should I learn?" Yeah, and I tell them, "Well, I have the same. I have the same,
Yeah.
but I use all those gaps in during the day to do something in my language learning. So in the morning, we all have breakfast, do we? So what do you do during the breakfast? Okay, if you have small children and you have to take them, I don't know, to kindergarten or something, you probably have to dress them up and so on. I don't have to, because my children are at home. We have homeschool.
Okay. Yeah.
So they don't get up. And
Right.
I'm alone in the morning. I can do what I want. So during the breakfast, I always watch some series or movies in German, for example.
Okay.
And that's 20 minutes of watching. That's nearly every day, and I think that's a lot of time if it's every day.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So that's
okay.
one piece. Then I'm walking or running actually to catch the train, and that's another 15 minutes when I can listen
Of walking or running.
walking or running, when I can listen to German books.
Okay.
Yeah. Then on the train, it's 15 minutes of reading, and then again 10 minutes of listening before I get to work.
So you got already about an hour almost before you start work. You've already got about an hour of
yes.
And if we just take out the 20 minutes, because let's say that somebody has to get their kids ready and doesn't have that time, you still have 30 minutes, 20 minutes. Right.
Well, yeah, about 20, of course. 20 or
Right.
20, 30, including the train. Yeah, that's
Right. But if somebody doesn't
right.
have the train, if they drive, they could still
Exactly.
listen.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
They could still use the audio book.
They could.
So
They could. Yeah, yeah,
like
that's right. That's right.
there is a lot there that they could do. That's really
Absolutely.
encouraging. Uh-huh.
Absolutely. And that's not all, because then I have my lunch, and that's at least 10 minutes reading, actually,
Uh-huh.
during the lunch.
Uh-huh.
And then again, the same process on my way home. So listening, reading on the train, listening, and
Okay.
that gives you about 30, 40 minutes of listening every day, and 30 of reading, let's say,
Right. So this is
without any extra time.
right. So this is actually really inspiring, and this is not any dedicated time. These are the cracks,
Exactly.
the gaps that are
Yeah.
in your day.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because at
Uh-huh.
home, I have absolutely no free time for that. I couldn't
Right.
do that.
So what's your difficulty? Where's the problem coming from? What's the what a issue?
The issue is, actually, I would like to say that I successfully managed the time issue, because when my first child was born, and then the second, I thought that I lost my free time, and I would never have never I would never have time for anything I wanted to do. But it didn't happen, because I just was thinking about that hard, how to find the time I lost,
Mm-hmm.
and I did. Yeah, yeah, I did
Okay.
find it. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and although I would like to have more time, of course, I think it's always possible to find those gaps for your things. Yeah.
So
uh,
what if you had more time?
hmm
Like because you say you always want more time, but
yeah.
then you talk about your successes and what you have had. So I guess I'm just asking what's the issue, because it sounds like you have the time. It doesn't sound like you have an issue.
Yeah, but of course, but I would like to have more, of course.
Okay.
Uh,
So could I ask you then about your energy? Because there's a mm, let's say a paradigm between time and energy. Really, everybody has the same time. We all have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, nobody has
mhm,
anything else. But if you look at a young infant, a really young baby,
yeah,
they're spending most of their time sleeping because they really, really need it.
exactly.
And because they're growing so much, I think so much energy goes into their body into growing, they need to sleep. And our energy we can spend on other things because we don't need to grow physically that way. So really we're talking about energy. Because it sounds like you're using your time as effectively as possible, then can I ask you about energy? How are you doing in gaining energy, maintaining energy, using the energy you have effectively?
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Well, um, that's I've never thought of that, but um, yeah, it's a question what we mean by effectively, because maybe it could be like that. I like the way I use my energy uh, on things that I like, or that are important for me, but maybe other people would say, hey, you use everything for those things that you consider like crucial for you, and you have nothing left for us.
Do
Like
you,
for the others. Yeah.
is that
Like,
important to you? What is it important to you what other people tell you about your energy?
if those are close people, yeah. If it's someone completely strange, or someone I don't care, care about. If doesn't matter, but if it's someone from your family, for example, and they complain that you always find time and energy for things that you want, but not for the others, then
So
I would have to
do you
think
hear
about it.
this? Do you hear this thing? I mean, is this something
Yeah,
that you do hear this? Oh, okay.
yeah,
So
I do.
this isn't a hypothetical, oh, you find time for your stuff, but you don't find time for
That's
us.
not hypothetical. That's a real thing. Yeah.
Okay. And okay, so can you give more specifics into you don't find time for us? Like
Yeah,
how are
it's
you hearing that happening?
yeah, of course. If, for example, I am able to spend a few hours in the evening mixing my music on the computer, and I
Right.
go to
Okay.
bed late because I just
Uh-huh.
care. Yeah. But if someone said, "Could you?" I don't know, do this or that in the evening for me, and I would say, hey, but I would go so late to bed. Yeah, that's of course it's I know that it's the same time, or that I would go to bed much earlier, but I feel like, why should I do that? I will not have
Okay.
enough of sleep, but for my things, I don't care. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you're actually you're prioritizing your things over, I don't know, your wife's, your children's. Maybe your wife and children are
um,
probably the most.
yeah, we
Uh,
could say that.
yeah. And
I
hey, that's kind of normal for men from what I hear.
Yeah.
And having conversations with many
Okay.
women about the age of, because I would say 2/3 of my clients are women, 1/3, and I usually teach them in small groups or private. And
Mm,
many women say that about the age of 45, they kind of
mhm.
take their life back and they say, hey, I want more time for myself and I got to do it when my husband's been doing all the time. But the men seem to know to do that. Like they're more aware of themselves that way.
Yeah, but it's why don't they do it too? Yeah, I
You know
think the
what?
men
I
always
think
say, do that. Find the time. I will take care of
it's
kids.
it's
Just
it's a
go.
cultural thing. It's
Mm,
really
mm.
cultural. I don't
I
see
see.
the same things happening in America and in
Oh, no.
other. I think that for some cultural reason, I don't know why,
Mm,
but
mm, mm,
Czech women feel like they shouldn't have a life until they're
so
about
it's
the
kind
age
of.
of 45. But
Mm,
again, maybe the younger women that are today,
hmm,
like
hmm.
maybe 20, 25-year-olds, are different. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just talking about the women that I've taught from 45 or 40,
Yeah.
45 and up have had that, let's say, self-sacrifice to the point of
Well,
harm, to the point of
yeah,
harming themselves.
I remember my grandma and mother were the
Yeah.
same.
So,
Absolutely.
but okay, but let's get back to you. So you've
Of course.
got, do you feel guilty with this, not helping
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
or what's your feel? I mean, you've got a stress there. You've got to like, well, I'm not going to get enough sleep or something. So you've got a certain amount of stress.
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah,
other,
a bit, but I'm just kind of personality that uh, is very, I don't know which word would would describe, but I can bear a lot without being stressed. Is it okay, is it
what do you
good?
mean?
That compared to the others, I can take a lot of stress, or it doesn't even stress me, such things. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, but that's not my question. My
okay.
question is what. Yeah, you've got your wife, your kids, probably your wife more most
Mhm.
likely, right? Is it your wife?
Yeah. That's right.
And she's asking you to do things, and I sometimes you get it done, sometimes you don't. But you definitely get your stuff done.
Yeah.
And this is the time issue that you're talking about. Am I right?
Yeah, actually, the the um, difference or the I don't know, the disproportion or imbalance between the time I spend on my things and on others, which should be different than it is, different from now. And I don't know how to do it because I don't feel it like, or I know it's wrong probably, but I just don't feel it so much as something wrong.
You don't feel it
And
as something wrong, but
I know it's wrong, but I don't feel it so much that I would change it.
okay. So you feel the pressure of it,
Yes,
but
yes.
you don't feel but it's not a big enough pressure where you change it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
then how is that? Let's look at actually some of the questions.
Okay.
Um, uh, who has this helped? Who has this hurt? That's actually one. I think that's like the third in your journey. I mean, how has this helped you? How has it hurt you? How is it? Who is it helping? Who is it hurting in your, I don't know, relationships, your situation?
Um, yeah, that's. I think that I'm not hurt by that. I think, but I think that this pressure, if it's permanent, can lead to a change in time, or later than probably she would like. But I'm just very slow in changes. Yeah. So if I'm under permanent pressure, which doesn't mean it's unpleasant, I think I'm able to change.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
talking about the pressure of, what pressure is that?
A pressure of knowing that that's not ideal, that's not an ideal state, and although I don't mind, like, that I don't feel it like a problem, I know about, you know the difference between like knowing and feeling.
Yeah, there's one, you're conscious of it, and that's a real knowing. And then the feeling is you're kind of aware of it, but it's sort of like creeps in the background. Is
Could, yeah, could be. And I don't, it's, I would compare it to I don't know, you cross the road when there is the red light, so you do that, don't you? But you know it, you shouldn't. It's like,
okay, but
yeah.
yeah, but if we get back to
Yes,
let's make it a specific task. So your wife has asked you something specifically. What has she asked you to do?
to spend more time with her.
So spend more time with her. What does that mean?
To dedicate my mind to her fully for some
Okay.
time. Don't think about anything else. Just talk
Okay, so it
and
would be
so on. Yeah.
talking. It would be
Yeah,
talking to
that's right.
her.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Would you go out with her or just talk with her? Like, is it like a glass of wine over a meal, or is it like, she
No,
wants to go
it's
play tennis with you?
no, neither of that. That for that we don't have time, unfortunately. But it means some 1 hour or two at home, talking, sitting without doing anything else.
Okay. So
Yeah,
just a
just
conversation with her.
yeah, that's right, that's right, that's right.
And this
Or
is what,
maybe watch something, you know, not
yeah,
doing anything else. That's it. That's it.
spending time with her, like quality
Mm-hmm.
time with her.
Exactly.
And this is something that she's missing, and you feel like you're missing enough, a bit enough to feel it, but not enough to act on it.
The Yes, because my free time is so limited that I actually always first think more of doing my things, because otherwise they are not done, than to
Oh,
spend the time.
okay.
You understand that?
Yeah,
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 that
yeah, yeah. Okay.
it's like
So
yeah, yeah,
so
that.
so this is Whew. Okay. And what do you think your wife, we could say your wife, what do you think your wife, how do you think your wife feels about not spending time with you?
I think that that's what I said, that I prioritize my things over her.
What do you think your wife feels about not spending time with you?
That the things are more important for me than her.
That's what you think your wife feels about you. That's not
Yes.
what your wife feels.
Oh yeah, that okay. So I think that it's like I don't know, disappointment or frustration,
Okay.
probably.
Frustration, disappointment, maybe loneliness, you think?
Yeah, or like um, yeah, not not be the ideas or the I don't know what actually this is
Okay, so
psychology.
yeah. So I got another kind of question here because you're really like when you were talking about using your time effectively, I mean you really went into it quite well, very inspiring, using those slip through moments to study German, and then when you get home, you spend some time with music and things like that. So you've really got, I mean, really do use the slip through moments quite well, I think. And that's great. Um, what are you using to? I basically have an idea I'm going for with this. So,
Hmm.
what are you doing to regenerate during the day? What are you doing to? Because if you're doing lots of output,
Hmm.
it's not it's not that effective.
Yeah,
Um,
I know what you mean, but that's actually not my problem because the thing, the learning itself and other things. When I also make a website for German, which is similar to Help for English, and when I work on those things, or when I learn, when I read, when I listen, that's regenerating because that gives me the energy because I like it so much that when I can do that, I feel very well.
so spending time with your wife, is that regenerative? Do you feel
Well, yes, it is, but not the moment when I planned to do something else. I hate changing plans. Yeah, actually, I don't mind if someone says, "Look, now we'll have tomorrow we'll spend 2 or 3 hours together." I say, "Fine." But when I don't know about it, when I think, okay, today I'll have 30 minutes for doing that, and someone comes and say, hey, could you do this? And I say, well, okay. And then I do that, but I'm not feel well.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it's more, is it, so if you planned it with your wife, would that be better?
Yes, then it's perfect.
So you're saying that when she's asking you, if I'm just rounding up what you're saying, it's like she wants the time with you, but it isn't planned time.
Uh, yeah, that's because actually it's quite difficult to plan it with the children. You never know when they fall asleep, and
Uh-huh.
so on. So it's impossible to even say which day. Yeah, it's like, hey, today they finally fell asleep. We have time. Yeah, it's like
Okay.
this. It's sudden.
And how old are your children?
5 and 9.
5 and 9. Um, During this unplanned, possibly will be planned time, what would you be doing with your wife?
Just sitting and talking.
Just sitting and talking. Can you, do your children have to be asleep during that time?
Uh, yeah, but or be at least falling asleep. Yeah.
Falling asleep. Okay.
At least, but they are able to get out of bed for 1 more hour. You
Okay.
know that they
Okay.
come. It's just so
Right.
then
Right.
it's not a very calm time
Yeah,
for us.
it's not really, you can't really get into a deep
Exactly.
discussion. You can't really
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't really focus when there's interruptions every
Mm-hmm.
minute. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so what time is that?
Oh, what do you mean?
Well,
What time?
by the time they fall asleep or something, I mean there is an absolute time, I'm sure, that
Uh,
it's like, okay.
that's well, it's difficult. They, as I said, that we have homeschooling, so they don't have to go to bed early. So at 10, they are falling asleep, but sometimes it it can be till 10:30
But you get the time in the
or 11.
morning. You get the time in the morning that you don't have in the evening, right?
Well, no. No, that's a problem. We don't have time any time because I mean we too are with the children because the children get up first always.
No, I thought that you said that you were able to have breakfast and the
Oh,
children weren't up.
that's during I have, yeah, I alone,
Okay.
but not my wife.
Your wife
She's
doesn't because she gets up later?
she gets up with the children. Yeah,
She gets up with the children.
she needs
Could
a lot
she
of
get up with you and talk to
no.
you in the morning?
That would kill her. That she needs a lot of sleep. She really
Okay.
is very
Okay,
tired.
so it sounds to me like basically you really like plans. That's what
Yeah,
I've heard.
yeah,
And if it follows a plan, then you're okay with it and you can do that.
absolutely. Yeah.
And it's not really a time problem. It's
Hmm.
really just prioritizing
Exactly.
and keeping, also making sure that you fulfill your commitments as to whoever they, to whom, to your boss, your wife, your children, whomever you have those responsibilities.
Yeah,
Have I grasped that pretty well?
I think so. I think so. That's great. Great summarization.
So what how could you, if it's with your wife, spending time, and that's what she wants, that's what you want to give, but as you have said, it needs to be planned, otherwise you're feeling imbalanced, you're feeling kind of like it's not important. Hey, it's not been planned, it's not important. I've got this plan instead, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. I understand.
Yeah,
So,
have I captured that well in what's going on
yeah, I
here?
think so. I think so. I think so. You're very good at that.
So what would be a good way, what would be a step for you to plan the time? How
I,
could you do that with your wife?
well, uh, I would, and I could, and I would like to actually to make some plans that are out of home with someone to babysit, and because that if that is planned out of home, I think it cannot be cancelled so easily.
So
Uh,
if you could move it outside that, now that my wife and I have that, every other week we go on a date.
oh dear,
I mean, we really just go to a cafe, sometimes take a walk,
beautiful.
sometimes, I don't know. We went to the theater,
Oh dear.
um, um, but we do it about every other week,
Hmm.
hopefully more frequently, but at least every other week.
Yeah, but
And it
you
does
need to
help.
find someone to babysit. Or?
Exactly. You need to find somebody to babysit. And it took a lot of years to do that. But you live in Prague, right? Do you live in Prague? Don't you live in Prague?
Yeah, I do. I do. Yes.
Okay. Uh, I, can you find somebody to babysit? Is that possible? Would you be willing to do that?
Well, we we tried to, or we thought actually that it would be easy when I have so many brothers, sisters, and their parents and so on. But we haven't managed to get anyone,
Okay.
and
What
someone who
about
is and
what?
someone external. I don't. I think we wouldn't like anyone who is strange to us.
But you can change that. First, you could interview them. I mean, you could have like a babysitting interview, like really find.
I know, no.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're like, that's a long process. That's something that would take months
Yeah,
to work
see.
through there. Um, what would be an intermediary solution? So if you're going to look for a babysitter, I think it's possible. Or another thing you could do is some sort of like daycare house that, like if you go to a mall or something, they usually have those things where kids can play in the mall. And then like, they have it for, I don't know how many crowns
Oh,
an
you
hour.
mean, yeah, during the day, leave the children there for 1 hour and go
Yeah,
for the.
exactly. Yeah, you could like leave the children in a, I don't know, one of those daycare things in the
Yeah,
mall.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I see.
And
Not a
then
bad idea. Yeah, good.
um uh but if is there another intermediary step you could take? Something that would you know.
Yeah, think we could ask my in-laws, but it it's quite complicated issue, and because they are not retired yet, and they are always very busy, and but I think they could do that, or if it's necessary, they do that. Like if there is absolutely no other way, but I
Okay, if
cannot
you
imagine
planned it, yeah, every other week
and
would be
that's
hard.
yeah, that's.
That would
I
be
think
hard.
they could, but I don't know if they want to.
Right. Okay. So you have the mall, your in-laws. Are there any other options? Your brothers, sisters, or just leave them at home hoping they don't do anything?
I think that in a year or two we can leave them home.
Okay.
You know, when my younger daughter is a small devil, and so now we cannot yet.
Uh-huh.
Or, but I think that later we will. I spoke about it with one of my students. He has children about a few years older, and he said that now they can go out without any problems. So,
What if you get together with other people you know?
mm,
I mean, like you have other friends, right? Do you have other
I
friends?
I don't, but yeah, my wife does.
Well, because when I was young, my parents had this Bible study, but I don't know if
Yeah.
it's actually a Bible study. I think it was more of a time just to put the kids somewhere so the parents could go somewhere
Yeah,
else.
that's well,
And they,
that can be called anything, but it means that people meet and they are. I know what you mean. That's
right.
that's that's great. Um,
But if you could take your kids there and then like every week you could like trade off the couples so they could, like if you had a group of like five families,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So
see what you mean.
that would mean that every week those families could be together, and one of those, one
Yeah,
couple
yeah,
would take care of all their kids for
exactly.
that day, and then
That's
next
great.
week there would be another. Is that possible to do something? Do you have enough friends like that? I mean, even if it were just one group, it
Yeah,
would
I
be
see. I
possible.
see.
Like I used to do that with the group. I had friends. I would do that. We would switch weeks. One week I would take
Hmm.
care of their kids. They would take
Yeah,
care of
yeah, 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 yeah.
our kids.
Well, maybe we haven't thought about this, or we have thought about that yet, but actually we don't know many people like that.
Uh-huh.
We tried to find some new friends for our children, and we were not very
Well,
successful in that.
that is hard.
Yeah, we are not we were not satisfied with
Mm-hmm.
them, and neither our children. So
Yeah.
um, I it would be beautiful to have such a chance, but at this moment I cannot think about it. I
Okay.
know that people do that, but
So then what will be when we walk away from this conversation, what's the what are you going to do? I know what I would do if I were you. Okay, so
mm,
what's your outcome for this? What do you want to do?
I think I should plan the time with my wife myself.
Plan it yourself. So you don't want to include your wife in your plans?
Yes.
You want to include your wife in your plans when you plan the time with your wife.
Yes, yes, yes.
What about before you plan that? What about talking to her about the options you have? Because your in-laws
Definitely,
are an
of
option.
course, of course,
The
of course.
Yeah.
That means when I make plans, I means with her, not alone.
No, no, I know that, but
But
there's
I mean
plan.
that that I would be, that I would initialize
Okay,
that.
okay, yeah, 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 yeah. You
Yeah.
initiate it. Yeah, that's great. And then what are your feelings from this conversation?
Um, that you are like a psychotherapist.
Really, you think so? I don't try
Yeah.
to be. I really don't try to be. This is just a normal conversation for me. Does it feel okay for you? I mean, do you feel
Yes.
good? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. But it's interesting that uh, I've attended a seminar 2 weeks ago about how to be a good father, and we get to absolutely the same point there. Yeah, like here, and
Really?
yeah, the two completely different discussions get to the same point there.
That's great. That's great. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording because I think that this is pretty much it. But I'd like just to continue talking with you for a little bit
Yeah.
if that's possible. Okay,
Okay.
that is